Rachel holds an explosive without the pin. In Monroe's tent, one of Monroe's officers pushes him far removed and one brings her down and tosses the explosive external in the nick of time. Aaron witnesses Rachel being directed to the pinnacle in chains, removing his opportunity of getting into the pinnacle. Dissimilar to Randall, Rachel is allowed admittance to the pinnacle. The gathering with the surveillance cameras witnesses Monroe's entrance and takes their weapons, preparing to battle Monroe. Miles into gangland their helicopter. 4 miles south of the pinnacle on their climb to the entry of the mind-boggling, they hear a commotion. Neville takes out his firearm. Also, runs into Aaron, tells Miles there is a way into the pinnacle yet, as it were, on the off chance that they can see as a strategy for getting around Monroe's troops inside the pinnacle. Randall shows Moner of the control room where the U.S. government's satellites actually have live feeds of the whole planet. The pinnacle has the ability to do anything and is impenetrable to everything except they will need to get to even out 12 first. Rachel is stunned when Randall uncovers this, yet Monroe walks his soldiers to the lift, prepared to observe the aggregate of the pinnacles expected. Monroe and his bunch take the lift to even out 12, however it stops at 11. Something is off base. Monroe's men step out to sort out what is happening as a klaxon begins booming. Unexpectedly, the spine gathering from the pinnacle begins shooting Monroe's men. They fall individually as Rachel frantically makes tracks in a safe room. Monroe follows her, and when she attempts to wound him with a blade, he wrestles it away from her and requests to realize who just went after them outside. Neville and Jason take out the civilian army camp's power source. Aaron and Miles race to open the pinnacle entryways as Monroe's men slip on them. Aaron gets them inside in the nick of time anyway, as it were. Miles, Charlie, Nora and Aaron can get in. Also, they are driven away from Jason and Neville out when the entryway closes in their little concealing spot. Monroe asks what occurred and who are those individuals in the tower. However, Rachel essentially has an easygoing no thought. As a response, he irately pronounces she wants to work with him if the two of them need to live, since she's the one who will explode herself to kill him. Plainly, they're both biting the dust is very satisfactory to her. In a flashback almost 7 days before the power outage, Rachel communicates her questions to Ben. However, Ben demands all that will be fine and the weapons will not at any point be utilized. Back to the current, Jason and Neville have been restricted inside one of the local army's tents. Neville will meet his old companion Franklin, who examines him on the most proficient method to get inside the pinnacle. Yet Neville needs to discuss Manra's unsteadiness and killing his companions and greatest allies Miles, Charlie, and every other person gets down to even out 11. All where they see Monroe's kin have been slaughtered. Aaron sees the other lift is moving and cautions the gathering somebody is coming. They don't stand by to see whom it is escaping to a close by lab room. Aaron sees something that irritates him in the room. Yet, before he can research, individuals outside the entryway begin to impact their way. Thus Miles and every other person escape through an air channel in their stowing away place. Monroe and Rachel are having some profound discussions. Manra appears to come to grasps with all the blood he has spilled. He enlightens Rachel regarding the son he has never met in a flashback. This time, 4 months after the power outage, Ben has manipulated a PC and is utilizing his power emblem to attempt to contact somebody. Rachel comes in and is discouraged over all the demise their innovation has caused. Ben tells her she wants to remain alive. Furthermore, confident if by some stroke of good luck to safeguard their youngsters behind the scenes, the PC murmurs to life as Elegance endeavors to contact Ben. Back in the current, Aaron enlightens Miles concerning the extraordinary firearms the tower individuals are utilizing, weapons that utilization electromagnetic power rather than projectiles. Heron's notepad on the pinnacle has a guide that shows an ordnance with the weapons. Close by, Miles severs from the gathering. Furthermore, arrives, however it has been purged. Outside, Neville is conversing with Riley. Tom attempts to persuade him that the, as it were, thing amiss with the Monroe Republic is Monroe himself. Jason tolls in and tell Riley that the best individual to lead the Republic is Neville. Riley appears for the most part persuaded, yet he isn't prepared to be part of an insurgency inside. With Nora's assistance, Miles figures out how to overwhelm one of the tower individuals and get their exceptional weapon. Rachel and Monroe can see what is going on through some television screens from the Screens. Rachel sees her little girl. Charlie with Aaron. Miles says that if Rachel assists him with escaping, that he will ensure that Charlie doesn't get injured. Charlie and Aaron get parted for a significant distance. Also, Nora, as they are pursued close by one of the Pinnacle individuals, gets the drop on Charlie and is going to shoot her when Monroe blows the person away. Rachel strolls up to Charlie and hauls her to accompany her. Notwithstanding Charlie's hesitance, Monroe goes off, leaving Rachel, Aaron, and Charlie alone. When they advance outside the room, they are before long cornered by a portion of the Pinnacle individuals. In the meantime, Monroe finds Miles and Nora. He has an electromagnet weapon focused on Miles, and Miles has one focused on him. Rachel, Aaron, furthermore, Charlie are removed by the Pinnacle individuals. Races with the Pinnacle people and welcomes the gathering heartily. She goes up to Aaron and lets him know he is notable to them. Rachel sees a man named Dan whom she knew quite a long time back. He and his individuals were responsible for safeguarding the tower. He lets Rachel know that he and his kids and his youngsters will safeguard the Pinnacle forever. He makes sense of level 12 is excessively strong. What's more, it can't be take a chance to let anybody go to it. Outside, Riley stays with Tom. Furthermore, Jason Neville, he says it will not be to bring down Monroe. Saying so, Riley opens Tom and Jason's cuffs. He hands Tom a firearm and says that assuming they take out Franklin, the other soldiers will conform and follow Tom back on level 11. Dan needs to consume the Pinnacle scratch pad, which will let them know how to walk out on. Aaron begs him, discussing every one of the great they can do and how they can re-establish society. Dan consumes it at any rate. Yes, the lights might come on assuming the switch is flipped. However, Beauty says something different could likewise occur. Rachel says the chances of lights coming back on are 1 out of many. To this effortlessness adds on the off chance that the Pinnacle switch is turned on, they might risk setting the whole world ablaze. In the meantime, Monroe, what's more, Miles are going head to head, both pointing their curl firearms at one another. Anyway, they are interfered with by the watchman of the Pinnacle, who makes them work together to get away from. They effectively make it to a leave, which ends up being important for the central pipe framework. While endeavoring to cross it, they fall into it when a tower monitor takes shots at the lines. This prompts Miles and Monroe being washed out of the complex, while Nora is left clinging to a lead edge somewhere down in the tower. Randall breaks a representation of previous U.S. President George W. Shrub and recuperates an extra key card in the living quarters. Beauty and Rachel are contending over the dangers of closing down the nanites, which Rachel claims are recreating. While Jenkins declares to Rachel on the off chance that Rachel attempts to access level 12 to turn the power on, he will kill her in the wake of assuming command over Monroe's place to stay. Neville tells supporter significant Franklin that he is free to leave, then, at that point, shoots in without hesitating. At the point when the discharges bring Jason and another watchman running, Neville claims Franklin went after him first. Miles awakens on the shore of a stream just to find Monroe sitting tight for him, prepared to proceed with their battle. Both previous best companions duke it out until a vindictive trooper fires on them. Monroe arranges the warrior to hold fire and declares himself. However, the officer fires on him and runs into the forest. Monroe turns around just to find that Miles has left him. Monroe streaks back to 10 years later. The power outage when Miles and Monroe are in a bar praising Miles' birthday when a bomb detonates, seriously harming them. Both subsequent to looking around the Pinnacles. PC's Aaron develops extremely agitated. Beauty affirms that he composed the code that the Division of Safeguard purchased to use for the Pinnacle's working framework. She proposes that Ben Matheson didn't meet Aaron by chance. External Neville has stacked a heap of C4 against the Pinnacle's entryway. Jason is shocked to discover that his father is attempting to forestall Rachel Matheson from walking out on no matter what. Neville asks for Jason's help, realizing that Jason despises him. However, they need to cooperate or they will kick the bucket. Jason concurs, however, he actually cares about Charlie and Rachel alive. The malevolent scout illuminates Neville that Monroe is in the close-by woods. Rachel tells Elegance about Danny Matheson, conceived 3 months right on time with lacking lungs. She battled so hard for his life, however she proved unable save him. Now she will likely stop the local army and put things right. She requests to Effortlessness, who likewise lost a youngster. After all, the chances of things turning out badly are 1 out of many when Beauty stands Firm Rachel chloroforms her, gets her key card and secures her in a room, then, at that point, joins Charlie and Aaron, who have been in on the arrangement from the very outset. Miles streaks back 10 years after the power outage. He wakes in a bed in Freedom Lobby. After the bar bomb, Monroe tells him the rebels established the bomb. Monroe brings Miles to the window to watch 5 final resting places being stacked into a cart. Not just did Monroe kill the plane, however, he killed his family with the expectation of making an illustration of them back at the tower. Aaron tells Rachel and Charlie that he incorporated a secondary passage into his code. Also, it is open. Besides, he thinks the power outage was not a mishap, somebody did it intentionally. That is when Nora appears to say she has no clue about where Miles is in the forest. Miles is gone after by Monroe. Be that as it may, Miles quells him immediately. Monroe needs to battle, yet Miles lets him know he has his own concerns. Monroe reminds Miles about how he attempted to kill him and begun each of this. Miles lets him know that the motivation behind why he attempted to kill him is that he killed such countless blameless individuals. Yet, Monroe lets him know that he did it for Miles with the goal that he could safeguard him from many individuals who Monroe believes they're hazardous after the power outage had made everybody forceful. Then one of Monroe's helicopters fly eyes over the two and begins terminating, and they make a run for it. Miles get away, yet Monroe gets caught. In the Pinnacle, Nora and Rachel discuss what befell Miles. The 4C the bunch and Nora devises an arrangement back outside. Monroe is brought inside Neville's tent, who is currently the head of Monroe's gathering. Monroe thinks about how Tone got to the Pinnacle and answers that Miles flew him here. Monroe says he is going to have Neville and his significant other killed. Neville tells Monroe he has turned silly, and psychotic Jason then, at that point, comes into the tent. Furthermore, Monroe is shocked to see Jason alive. Jason reports to Neville that something is happening in the Pinnacle and then drives him to the Pinnacle, leaving Monroe in the tent. Rachel, Nora, Charlie. What's more, Aaron stripped to the flight of stairs, driving to even out 12 anyway. They can't access it, being beaten to it by the occupants, and Dan. Nora sets up an unstable snare set off by means of tripwire to kill the occupants anyway. Dan spots it, also sidesteps it. Nora then sets off the trap utilizing a fire quencher, killing Dan and the tenants. However, she is mortally injured. Back external power. Miles enters the tent where Monroe is held and delivers him. Miles expresses that they are still siblings and this is never going to change. Niles tells Monroe to run and afterward closes Monroe's getting away. Furthermore, can make a race to the Pinnacle. Furthermore, sneak inside. Effortlessness awakens and attempts to track down Rachel, however is stood up to by Neville and his local army. Charlie and Aaron attempt to help Nora while Rachel spots local army coming. Charlie needs to first save Nora and afterward go turn the lights on. However, Nora concurs Rachel is right and they need to do it for the rebels. Rachel then advises Charlie to lock the entryway and takes Aaron with her to level 12. Charlie stays with Nora and Nora shouts as Charlie attempts to tend to her injury. The pernicious fighter busts in. What's more, battles Charlie, yet is then abruptly cut in the neck by Miles. Nora inquires Miles to go assistance Rachel and Aaron, yet he is never leaving Nora. He scoops her into his arms and they go to even out 12. However, Nora bites the dust. Neville and the volunteer army get Rachel and Aaron on level 12. Neville orders them to accompany them and neglect about the power. Then a couple of moments later, Miles, Charlie, Neville and the troopers in check in a shootout. Rachel then, at that point, makes a run for itself and can swipe her key card, then lets Aaron, Charlie and Miles in securely. Charlie illuminates Rachel about Nora's demise. Aaron enters the code effectively outside the entryways. Neville believes his local army should explode the entryway from which Rachel and the pack just entered. Back inside the entryways, Aaron communicates his questions. However, Rachel then, at that point, in any case, advises him to turn on the power. Aaron enters the code and presses the button. The light leisurely walked out on across the world. Back in Atlanta, Cultivate sees the light happen as a Georgian warrior comes into her office. She arranges him to toss all that they got at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Beyond the tower, Monroe is out in an open plain where an insane, wild, unnatural lightning storm begins. Back inside Rachel's gathering, here's shots that are uncovered to be brought about by Randall, who is sending off atomic rockets at Philadelphia and Atlanta. Rachel attempts to work Randall out of his arrangement. However, he precedes Miles ineffectively attempts to shoot the indestructible glass. Randall shoots the button that could obliterate the rocket. Randall states that he couldn't care less about Monroe. The main explanation he went to Monroe was to clear out Georgia, then he would clear out Monroe so the East Coast would be clear. Randall claims he is a nationalist and afterward shoots himself in the head with Randall dead. All that the gathering can do is watch and repulsiveness as the rockets draw nearer to their objections. A concealed man turns the light here and there as another man comes into his room expressing Randall's prosperity. The man calls him M. President. This leader of the U.S. has been concealing in a settlement at Guantanamo Cove for the beyond 15 years, sitting tight for Randall to satisfy his main goal.